podcast, AJ and I talked a lot in season 1 about life and business and how you try to marry those two things. You want to do people, you want to do business with people that you like, but you also have to do business with people that are serious about doing business. And so when I think about someone that's very serious about doing business, she's one of the people that comes to mind for me. Again, I think that her story is phenomenal. She was kind enough to grace us with her presence today. She's fresh off a plane from Turks and Caicos, going to have a little R&R. So we certainly appreciate her making the time to make herself available to us. But Miss Leonard, with that, I want to yield the floor to you. Just can you just briefly introduce yourself to our community here at Global FX Trade Club? And family, you know what we do. We make our guests feel welcome here. So go ahead, drop the ones in the chat, show her some love, come off mute, welcome her here to the community. Make sure that she knows that we are here to listen, engage, pay attention, and then most importantly, take action. So with that, Ms. Leonard, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marquita Leonard. I'm the founder and CEO of Bright Beginnings Financial Services. And I do a lot of things. I do personal credit, business coaching and consulting. I have a nonprofit. I do income taxes. I do it all. A little bit about me, just let me go on into my background. Or what I do, my story. Okay, so I've been in business, you guys, for about 5 years. It'll be 5 years, October the 20th. A little bit about me. I'm from a country town called Eclectic, Alabama. Not sure if you guys heard of that. Country. I moved to Georgia in 2011. I felt like I was very stagnant in Alabama, like I wasn't growing. So I took a leap of faith and I moved to Georgia in 2011. I moved to Georgia with no job and $10,000. No job and $10,000. I told my grandmother, I said, hey, I'm going nowhere here. So I'm going to move and I'm going to try to make it. So I moved to Georgia, paid my rent up for about 6 months, paid my car note up. I said, that'll give me enough time to find a job. And I had a newborn. So my son was like 5 months at the time. And then I had my daughter as well. 2 months after moving to Georgia, I went back to Alabama to visit my grandmother because she had got sick. And in that moment, I'm in her room and I'm speaking to her about life. And then I see my car driving up the road, you guys, driving up the road. I'm like, who is in my car? Like, and it was my brother. About 15 minutes later, I see the police like shooting up the road. I'm like, where's the police going? So my brother had took my car without my consent and wrecked my car. So back then, you know how we do, don't have insurance or only had liability insurance. So here I am, just moved to Georgia with 2 kids, a newborn, and now I don't have a car because I didn't have insurance. So now I'm struggling now for real, because now I paid my car up for 6 months. So my money is super, super thin. Make a long story short, when the 6 months came, I still didn't have a job because I didn't have transportation. So I ended up getting evicted. Got evicted from there. Ended up taking a job at Terminix. Moved to a place called Norcross, Georgia. When I first moved, I lived in Duluth, Georgia. Moved into that apartment, got a job at Terminix, still wasn't paying enough. Ended up, finding this truck on Craigslist, got the truck, still was barely making it, you guys, barely making it, because now I've took $5,000 of my savings of the little money that I did have left to buy this new car. Long story short, times got hard, end up getting evicted again. So this is the second eviction within 2 years of living in Georgia. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So then I end up having to move to a hotel with my children. I find this townhouse in Marietta, Georgia. So then I go and I take out a title loan on my truck to move into this townhouse. Cool. Get the money. The guy shows me the townhouse. I put all my stuff in the U-Haul. I'm headed to the townhouse. So happy. Me and my kids are at this hotel. Now we're finna move in this townhouse. I put the keys in the door and the keys did not work. I called the man and said, hey, the keys are not working. He was like, oh, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe when I went and got the keys made, it didn't work. Come to find out, the guy did not even own the townhouse. He didn't own the townhouse. So now I'm completely homeless. I spent every dime on the U-Haul and moving into this townhouse, and now I'm completely homeless. So me and my children had to end up sleeping in the car for about 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. I went to a couple of places to try to get assistance, and I finally did. And I found this other guy who owned the townhouse. He was like, listen, you got 3 evictions on your credit. He said, but because you have these children, I'm going to give you a chance. And then in that moment, I told myself, I said, God, you gave me another chance. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to do whatever I got to do so I don't put my kids back in this predicament, back in this situation. So I told myself, I'm going to fix my credit. It's jacked up now. I got 3 evictions. Nobody's going to give me nothing. And that's what I did. I started researching and I just started writing letters to see what worked. And next thing I know, all my negative information just started coming off my credit report. Then I got another job at this place called Reinhardt Food Service. And I started asking some of the employees there, like, hey, I'm getting good at this credit thing. Let me fix your credit. Push come to shove, I ended up signing up like 50 people in the warehouse at my job, just charging them $50 just to fix their credit, just seeing if it's going to work. May of 2016, my job got bought out. And they called me in the office and they said, hey, we're not choosing you to go on with the new company. So we're going to give you a severance and we're going to let you go. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't, get upset. I wasn't mad. And the HR guy said, you're taking this a lot better than I thought you was. I said, yes, because y'all are not my God. You're not my God. So I'm going to take this severance. I'm going to take this unemployment. And because I'm already doing credit on the side, I'm going to go full time with this business. And it took completely off. And I'm here. It took off.
I love it. I love it. I love it. One of the things that I was hoping that everybody would really understand is that you've been so transparent with so many about your journey and the fact that you didn't just wake up on third base one day. You really had to get it out of the mud. You had to put that sweat equity into it. Now, a lot of times when I hear you talk a little bit about the fact that when your business took off, the preparation that you had to have, the mindset that you had to have. Can you talk about how you were drawn to that, but then also how that's evolved in terms of you bringing a team on and going from, a 6-figure businesswoman to now multi-million-dollar businesses and all the locations that you currently have? How was that process for you?
Well, like I said, that when I made a commitment to God, and I said, God, if you just trust me with your gifts, help me to manage my finances. So even when I started making a lot of money, I was scared to spend money because I had made God this promise. Like my promise was, God, if you just trust me with your gifts, I will not be irresponsible. And even when I made my first million, I didn't buy no designer at all because I was scared. So I didn't buy my first designer bag until I made 2.6 mil. That's when I said, okay, now I'm going to treat myself because I've worked so hard to get here. Mindset is I invest in knowledge. I spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on knowledge. And I think it's so important when building a business, especially if you want to build it the correct way. A lot of people think that just because, oh, I have an LLC, that they have a business, and that's not the case. Having an LLC is cool, but is that LLC making any money? So I had to learn the proper way to actually set up my business, how to build the business credit for my businesses, because that's one thing a lot of people need to know too. If you have multiple businesses, you need to be building the business credit for each business, because you want to get funding and business credit cards for each business.
Now, what about your team, Marquita? Because as you've grown and you've taken on much more of what I would say that visionary role, being the CEO, you can't run the day to day and talk to every client. Was it really difficult for you to separate yourself from the day to day of your business as you started to grow your team?
Yes, and the reason why is because when I started my business, everybody talked to me. Everybody wants to talk to Marquita. And still to this day, people be calling my office and be like, I want to speak to Marquita. If I'm in the office, I will speak to them, but I'm barely in the office. But I ran my business by myself until I got to 100 clients. After I got to 100 clients, it got overwhelming. So I told myself, okay, I'm going to when I hit my 1 year anniversary, I bought my first billboard. I said, okay, I was working out of my home. I said, I got to get an office, some type of virtual office, because when I put this billboard up, I don't know if people are going to want to come in personally to sit down and talk to me or what. So I got on Indeed and I hired a personal assistant, and I got an office downtown Atlanta. And as I told you and Uncle Ed, that Grant Cardone has been a huge mentor in my life. And one thing he always teaches is that you got to put other people in position to help you grow. So I outgrow the virtual office and I got me a three office in Marietta, Georgia. And I just started hiring people. And after studying, I said, I noticed that the more people I hire, the more clients I get. It's because now I have someone in my office. So say for my Atlanta office, I have 5 people. I have one person who's entering people in the system, one person who handles late payments, one person who handles debt validation. So everybody's doing something. Now I have a staff of 17. We have 5 locations: Miami, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta,
LA.
and LA. In LA. So we're just continuously growing. My goal is to have an office in all 50 states. But depending on where you're trying to go, you gotta have help. You're not going to get there by yourself. So don't be afraid to put other people in position to win and get money, because they're going to take you far in life.
So I appreciate that. What I want to do right now, I just want to make sure that we don't go too far without the community having the opportunity to say something they want. So if there's anybody out there with any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Myself and Cousin Ed can acknowledge you. If there are no questions, we'll continue the conversation, but I definitely want to open the floor.
I definitely see AJ with a question. Go ahead, AJ.
Appreciate that. Ms. Leonard, how you doing this evening? I got one question. Like the instrument said, we follow you. And your story has always been inspiring. You have always inspired me, in just terms of business, the way you run things, because also you're very straightforward and you're transparent, in terms of, how things go. But a question I want to ask you is, I know that you're an amazing mother, but back when things, eviction after eviction after eviction and tribulation after tribulation, if it were not for your kids, besides your kids, what was the thing that made you, that gave you that steadfastness to continue without just completely giving up?
Okay, so I lost my mom in 2007 from breast cancer. Um, so me and my mom really didn't have a really good relationship at all. My dad, he wasn't in my life either. My grandmother is the one who raised me, and my grandmother died in 2013 from a brain aneurysm. So my kids is really all I have to keep going. I don't have mom and daddy to call on, but I will say this, um because my mother was not in my life, um I disliked my mom for a long time. Even though she was gone, she died in 2007. I didn't forgive my mom until 2016.
Wow.
I was holding on to anger for that long, even though she was gone. And the day that I chose to forgive her, which was February the 3rd of 2016, my business took off May of 2016. And I say that is because someone may be going through some things and holding on to some abuse, rape, or something in their life that's hindering their growth. So I want to tell anybody that's on here that you got to forgive for yourself. It's not for the other person. It's within. And I feel like God took me through everything I went through to get my attention. I thank God that I went through everything that I went through, because I feel like I would not be where I am now at all. I needed to go through everything I went through. The abusive relationship. I've been molested. I've been raped. I did it. I've been through it. But you guys got to understand that your past hurt, your final destination is not where you are right now. It's so much bigger. So if you're going through anything in your life, you're holding grudge, let it go. Let it go for you. But that's my kids is what keeps me going. 100%.
Love that. I love that. I'll circle back to that in just a second. Rhonda, AJ, thank you for the question, bro. Rhonda, sis, I see you out there. You can go ahead and come off mute.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And Miss Leonard, I actually have not ever heard of you. So thank you, Cousin Ed, and thank you, Destrian, for bringing bringing her to this platform. I really appreciate that. Miss Leonard, wanted to find out, I have a personal and I have a professional question. On a professional level, it sounded like you did a lot of the research yourself in terms of learning the business. Will you speak to any of the other training that you might have had? You mentioned Grant Cardone. Did you go through any other MLMs? Did you partner up with him for 100 or any other businesses that are doing a lot of what you're doing? And if so, or if not, what do you think it is about your business that stood out to so many people to make you excel so quickly? And then my personal question, well, I'll let you answer that one first, and then I'll come back to the second one.
Okay. So no, Grant Cardone did not teach me anything about credit. He taught me about sales, how to sell myself. So with my credit repair business, I'm self-taught.
Okay.
Collections for 10 years. So I already knew the collection side, what a collection agency could and could not do. So when I wrote my letters, I based it off of my knowledge. Far as also I worked for Equifax for 6 months. And I only worked for them just to find out how they worked, the inside. I needed to know what goes on in these agencies. Listen, you guys, you gotta know. And I did that. And I did it for 6 months. I went through a temp service. So every letter that I wrote, I created myself. Like I said, I just started writing letters based off the situation. Even now, a lot of people use a lot of credit systems like Credit Repair Cloud and things like that. I still use the letters that I created. I still use my bankruptcy letter that I created. When I say I did a lot of research, like for people who have bankruptcy, I actually called the courthouse speaking to clerks. Hey, how do I get this off of my credit report? The courts will tell you, we don't put bankruptcy on your credit. So I did a lot of calling. I did a lot of letters just to see what would work, and I mastered it.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then I think my personal question, you kind of answered it a little bit with AJ. It was around that whole, the perseverance and tenacity that you've had to keep going through everything. So I think you answered that while you were answering his question. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We have, I can't see everybody in the chat, Cousin Ed. Do we have, any additional questions?
No questions in the chat, but a lot of amens and a lot of this is powerful. So I definitely want to echo that. We spoke yesterday for over an hour and a half, but your story gives me chills right now. So once again, thank you for sharing it with us.
No problem.
All right, as we kind of advance the conversation, right? So we've talked a little bit about Marquita's background. You've heard a little bit about some of the challenges that she's faced. I think just to kind of give you a little background on the group, Marquita, we talked a little bit, but our mission, our goal as a trade club, as an organization, is not just about us, right? So when we talk about coming together, creating wealth, we're talking about breaking those curses, those generational things. And so we look at this holistically. Great, we're making money. Once you have the money, what type of impact do you want to have and will you have? So our mission is to impact 10,000 households, to get them an extra digit in their income. As you begin to make more money, can you talk to the group a little bit about some of the philanthropic things that you've done in Atlanta? Not only in Atlanta, but I see the things that you do to bless people all the time. Why is that so important to you, and what role do you feel like that plays in your business success?
I do a lot of giving back. I do a lot of giving back, but I believe in paying it forward. My first business was a nonprofit organization. And I remember volunteering for the homeless. And I was like, oh, this is something I want to do for myself because I really enjoy doing it. And I remember the lady that I would go and volunteer with, I asked her for help. I said, hey, can you help me start a nonprofit? She started ignoring my texts, ignoring my emails. And I was like, she don't want to help me. So I always told myself, if I got in a position where I started my own business, that I want to help people. So many people are afraid to share knowledge and information because they're scared that someone's going to outshine them or take it away from them. And that's not true. Can't nobody take what God has ordained for you. So don't ever be afraid to share information. Number two is I invest a lot. So when I made my first meal, I got into real estate. I bought my first duplex. And I paid cash for it. But now I have 12. So I invest a lot.
Hold on. Repeat that. Repeat that.
Hey, Ed, she hasn't even gotten to the Airbnb.
I know. I just want to hear that one more time. You got what?
I have 12 rental properties. I do. But it's all about investing. So I have 12 all over. Like I said, my duplex, it has 6 apartments. And I Section 8 them. I tried letting tenants rent out, but those people don't want to pay rent. So I did Section 8 so I can guarantee and get all my money on time. So thankfully, during COVID, I still got my money. Then after that, it's one thing I can say about these rental properties, it's a lot you spend on renovation. So I stopped at the 12 and then I started getting into Airbnbs. Airbnb is another amazing stream of income. I've had my Miami Airbnb for about 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years. The rent is $2,500. And you guys, you can use other people's property to make money. So I pay $2,500, but it makes about $13,000 a month for my Airbnb. So it pays for itself. And that's another thing, you guys. I suggest that everybody has an Airbnb property because it's going to pay for itself. Now, I will give you this little tidbit of information of game. Let me tell you this. To use a management company. No, I manage everything. Oh Lord, I'm sorry. I manage everything myself. But let me if you got pen and paper, let me tell you this, you guys. Please write this down. You have to trick the system. I do not believe in using other people's platform to make money. So a lot of people like to use Vermo, Airbnb, Turo, all of that. So let me tell you how I operate. I list my Airbnb properties on Airbnb, but I have it set up where they have to send me a message before I approve it. Okay. So when they send me the email, I direct them to my site to book. So I cut out Airbnb to make all my profits. That's how y'all need to do it. Same with Turo.
Can you repeat how you pimping the system real? Just do that one more time. Tell us one more time how you are pimping it right now. Please do that one more time.
Listen, I'm a businesswoman, okay? So I don't believe in using other people's platform. I believe in creating my own. I did a Zoom on Facebook the other day, and the girl was like, "Oh, what do you think about Turo?" I don't believe in that. I'm going to build my own sites for Turo. They're not going to make money off of me. So I list my properties on Airbnb and Vermo. And when people want to book, instead of them booking on Airbnb, I send them my website and tell them to book on my site.
So they don't get the commission from that. That all comes directly to you.
To me.
Right.
Cut out the middleman.
I love it. I think one of the things, hopefully, this is resonating with you all about, man, I can't remember the exact day, but we called it somewhat of an emancipation. We've had a few partners where we've partnered with to try to deliver more robust things to our community. But one of the things we always wanted to have, and I talked to you a little bit about this the other day when we spoke, control and ownership are different things, right? And so when you think about control and you think about ownership, sometimes we confuse some of the characteristics of the two. We've always wanted to be able to control our own destiny. So even when we were partnered with other platforms, similar to what you were saying, myself, my partners in the leadership here, we've always believed in owning our own content, training our own people, creating an ecosystem where we were in control of the experience that our community had. And if the benefits or perks from being associated with said organization went away, we were self-sustainable. So they wouldn't feel the brunt of something like that. And so we very much have that mindset. But when it comes to control and ownership, talk to the group a little bit about making sure they understand the difference, because you own your companies, but you also control them. There's no one above Marquita telling Marquita what needs to happen or what needs to be done. Why is control just as important, if not more, than ownership?
So control is important because I want to control my own destiny. Like I said, I put other people in position to run my offices, and no one is above me. No one won't be above me unless I choose to sell my businesses, but I'm passing it down to my children. But I want to say this: if you put the right people in position, again, like I said, they're going to take your business to another level. I have been blessed to have employees that treats my business as their own. Like, I'm in a position where I can pay my employees $19 to $20 to work for me, more than Walmart and all these other big corporations out here. So having control is super important. But like I said, if you put the right people in position, they're going to take your business to different levels. I also give my employees the training that they need. We have sales calls every Wednesday. They have to role play. We have to do rebuttals. Even before they clock in, they have to do sales training and role playing with each other to prepare themselves for the day of talking to clients on the phone.
Love it. Group, any I don't want to control too much of the conversation. Any questions for Marquita? Any additional questions out there? JV, I see you, Mr. Bassett.
Yes, sir. Marquita, pleasure to meet you. I wish I was in A personally to meet with you and get to see you live and in action. But next time, I promise. My question for you is, when you think about your business and how successful it is, at what point did you think about expansion? You had your offices in Atlanta and probably surrounding areas, but what made you say, you know what, I'm going to go to Chicago, I'm going to go to LA, I'm going to go to these other cities and expand my business? And then you don't have to get into the secret sauces about how to, but just some of the things that you went through in order to expand into other areas.
I would have to say my team. My team. I set a goal last year. I said I want to make $10 million. That was my goal for last year. 10 million. And it was a big jump because the year before I only made 300,000. Wow, so to go from 300,000 to 10 mil, me and my team sat down and said, hey, this is what we got to do. We got to open up multiple locations in order to reach this goal. And that's what we did. We mapped out a plan and we did the offices back to back. 1 month, I think we did Houston in March, and then we did Chicago in May. Like we just went boom, 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 boom. And we made it happen. We had grand openings. We ran social media ads and it just grew and it took off. And how I plan my offices, you guys, because a lot of people be afraid to get an office or get a location. So what I tell myself is, okay, this office costs $1,200 a month. So this is how many signups I got to get this month. Then I'm going to put employees in here. Okay, if I pay this person $15 an hour, I got to get this many clients to cover their salary for the month. So I always set goals for my offices. Each one of my team members is responsible for bringing in 10 to 20 clients per month. It's mandatory. I don't care how you get them. You got to get them. If you want to keep your job, you have to get it. So I always map out when I open up another office, because it costs me about 15 to 20K to open each office. So I already know how to do it now, but I know how to run my ads to get 100 to 200 people to come out to my grand openings to make all my money back. So
Marquita, great point. And Mr. Vassar, appreciate the question. James is one of the founders and owners of Global FX Trade Club. And I'm sure you'll also get a chance to hear from Mr. Somerville, aka Nino Brown, aka It Pays to Know Dunny, before we get off the call. But we spoke about this a few days ago, and I often see you talk about this in some of your training to other business owners. You talk to them about the fact that a lot of them have thousands of followers, but they don't have committed customers. And you use ads in your business, and you're a big believer in ads and creating funnels to have more predictable results. Is that something that you would care to kind of talk about with the group to, I guess, express why that's valuable to your business and what type of returns you see with your ads versus just a massive following on social media?
So I will speak from Facebook, you guys. So a lot of people on your Facebook is friends, high school, classmates, family and friends who really don't support you. So just like in my coaching program, I did audits. You probably see me talk about that on Facebook the other day. I did audits, And I didn't understand how people have 4 and 5,000 friends and 15 likes. It just don't make sense to me. So the algorithm messes up. Like if people don't like your post often, 9 out of 10 times they don't even see your posts. So I don't want to just target people in my area or in my state. So I run ads to target worldwide. My ads work tremendously. I don't know if you ever seen Grant Cardone. He's walking with his video. I do the same exact thing. That's how I do. If you probably haven't seen my ads yet, but I walk and talk. I walk and talk, and then I convert them to my YouTube channel. But now that I'm launching more courses, I have people book a one-on-one call with my office, or if they want my coaching, they have to book a one-on-one call with me because I don't accept everybody. And one thing people do like is when you're more personable, because everybody online selling ebooks, everybody online selling webinars, but how personable are you with your clients and with your followers? But I'm 100% believer in ads.
What about billboards? You talked a little bit about your investment in your first billboard. Do you continue to do that today, or have you pivoted from that at all?
No, I've had billboards for about 3 years now. Okay. And all I do is move them around in different locations.
Can you speak about what we talked about yesterday? What's the importance behind the billboards and your locations?
So locations is super important. I know that one of you guys talked about the digital. I don't like the digital, and I explain why. Is because if you're driving down the road, you don't really have a chance to take a picture real quick or write down the information. So I do the regular billboards, and I put them like at red lights or stop signs. So when you're stopped, you can see it. I'm the first person you see, and you got time to take down the information. And they really work. They work. And always keep up with your data, you guys. I don't know if any of you have a business, but make sure you keep up with your analytics. And make sure you have a retargeting funnel. So just say if someone visits your site and they click on the course, and they don't buy it, you got to retarget that person to actually buy the course. And that's super important too. Having a system, building your subscriber list. It's multiple ways that you can constantly keep income coming in. I tell everybody, listen, set a daily goal for yourself. See, a lot of people, they have it in their mind that, hey, I got 15,000 in my bank account. I don't got to wake up this morning and go to work. No, when I wake up every single day, I'm starting from zero. I act like I have no money in my bank account. And so my goal daily is that I have to make $10,000 new money per day. And this is the type of mindset that you guys have to maintain. Act like you don't have no money when you wake up and say, hey, how am I going to get 5,000 a day? And then check by noon, see how far you are away from your goal. Okay, what else can I do? I'm posting, I'm running my ads. Okay, now I'm about to hit the streets. Hey, call my team up. Hey, I need y'all to go out to market, go into businesses and talk to people. This is how aggressive we are with marketing. If I go through the drive-through, I'm handing people a business card. If I go to a restaurant, when I'm leaving that tip, I'm leaving people a business card. I'm very, very, very aggressive with my marketing.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. So we're going to open it up for a few more questions. We're getting close to the top of the hour, so we got about 10 minutes left. We want to be thoughtful of Miss Leonard's time. Again, I know she just flew back from vacation, but she did. She kept her word and she came here to spend some time with us. Don't be shy. This is the time to ask questions, people. Come off mute, raise your hand. If you got a question out there, please put it in the chat. Cousin Ed and I will acknowledge you. You see any questions, Cousin Ed? Anything out there?
No, but I see Rhonda came off mute.
I came off mute because I am so inspired. I have so many questions. I'm like, Miss
Let's go.
Marquita, when do we get our class? When we gonna learn all this stuff? Like, I'm ready. That is so funny. But you mentioned about not keeping the analytics, keeping track of your analytics. Also, you're not really into digital. So, but you talk a lot about digital. So it's like you have a wealth of knowledge on digital, but you do like the I guess brick and mortar billboards and stuff like that. How do we know which way to go? Because there's so much content, there's so much information, there's so many different people that we can listen to. But what would be your suggestion if we're just starting out and we want to build our businesses?
So what type of business do you have?
I have a personal care home. I work with GFXTC as well in terms of investing, but I think my passion is I really want to teach people about a little bit. I don't know how to do it, but in terms of building their business credit, I was actually just talking to a friend about that because it's something that I think within our community, a lot of us do have LLCs, but we really don't know how to do that portion of focusing on, setting up your first few net 30 accounts and making sure that we're paying those and we're buying from whatever companies that we need to initially so that we can build up that business credit and really use that business credit as opposed to using our personal credit. So right now I have a personal care home, but I have other passions.
Okay. So I've only used one digital billboard in Virginia, and I didn't get a lot of business off of it. So that's why I don't suggest digital billboards. Like I said, I put mine now where it's red lights and stop signs. Okay. But as far as building business, it's all about marketing. Who's your target? First of all, you have to find your target audience. Everybody is not your target audience. So it's very important to find out who they are. I tell people all the time, my Facebook is not my target audience. I may post on my social media, but it's not my target audience. So when I run my ads where I'm targeting people who make $60,000 or more because like I said, my Facebook is not my target audience. All my Facebook, they need payment plans. And that's not the type of audience that I'm trying to reach. So that's the first step, is to attract the right clientele. Because a lot of people try to discount their prices to appease other people. And one thing that my mentor taught me is that people don't have a money problem. They have an income problem. You don't have a money problem. You have an income problem. So what are you willing to sacrifice to get to your next level? What are you willing to sacrifice to get the money that you deserve? And another thing is, like I said, investing in knowledge. You can never not know enough. In the last maybe 3 months, I probably spent $75,000 on knowledge.
Jeez.
And Marquita, let's stick there for a second, because you heard Rhonda talk about, this is, let's call it a leg of the stool that she sits on in terms of her businesses. Most people on this call would view it, I think, the same way. They have several passions. This happens to be one place where they can come to learn about the financial markets in terms of investing in foreign exchange. But again, we try to do things to address the whole person. Part of Motivational Monday is to help address and fill some of those gaps that Rhonda's talking about. And we have, we've vetted some partners that we think that we can partner closely with to package some of these solutions, which we'll talk with the community about coming up. But I think it's important for individuals like you to be heard, because it goes back to what you said about the personal touch. What our community gets here with us is the personal touch. We tell everyone when they show up, you're not going to get rich tomorrow, but if you are consistent. So our goal, this is our goal. You talk about getting up, having a goal every day. So paint the target, make it clear. We want to make 1% to 3% a day out of the market. It's a $7 billion market that we're attacking. If we can get 1% to 3% over 52 weeks, that's 1.4. But you talked about knowledge. And I know that sometimes it gets monotonous, and we talk to our team about that all the time. We know getting up in the morning to do this training, coming back on this call to do another training, sometimes it can stretch you a little bit. But you said that you've invested nearly $100,000 over the past 3 to 6 months on knowledge. I think in totality, the investment over the course of a year, James, if you know it right off the top of your head, I think it may be somewhere in the area of what? If you're with Global FX Trade Club for a year, it's around $1,500, I think.
Exactly. Exactly.
$1,500 that you're investing in yourself to learn a skill that can change not only your life, but you can teach this to your children. You can teach this to your peers. So, James, you want to speak to that for a second before I give it back to Ms. Leonard? Just the investment in knowledge piece.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more, Marquita, that, we talk about our people perish for the lack of knowledge. And, if you're going to bet on yourself, why not invest in yourself? And, for most people, what we do is extremely affordable, but is where your priorities lie. Like, Marquita, you had no problem over the last 3 to 4 months of investing $75,000 in yourself, and you're already there. Most people think that, you just stop at that point. No, it's a continuous journey in terms of educating yourself, because there's things change. The market's dynamic. Things change, and you want to be on top of that. And there's no monopoly on great ideas. And so we made it very, very affordable for the masses. If they want to, they have to participate in their own financial rescue. But if they accept this mission for a small fraction, we say for less than a cup of Starbucks coffee a day, they can learn a skill that will allow them to tap into $7.3 trillion a day if they want to. And so what you spoke on about investing yourself, I couldn't agree more.
And Mr. Vassar, let me add to that. Hey, Marquita, very, very good to hear your voice, see you, but I can't wait to meet you. So we definitely have to talk offline. But just to piggyback on what you said, Mr. Vassar, you and I, we know that education is, I always tell people, education really is the key to educate yourself in whatever it might be, whether that's school, whether it's business, whether it's credit repair, right? You have to be educated. You have to educate yourself on some of these things. And when we're talking about finances, this is one of the reasons why I love who and what Global FX Trade Club is, because it's really the whole picture. It's the whole man, right? We're trying to help everybody in their finances learn everything you possibly can, from credit repair, from the business, from learning how to properly grow your money, right? And when you come here to Global FX Trade Club, I tell people all the time, you're not going to hear just trade. This is why we do the Motivational Mondays, right? So family, continue to plug in to what we do, but don't just plug in, take action.
Yeah.
Right. And only you can take action. I tell people all the time, and I'll give it back to you, Destrian. Again, James said it, you have to participate in your own financial rescue. I can't help you if you're not willing to come to a Zoom to learn. Right? We don't have a physical location. We've made it easy where you could just even you could be on your cell phone,
right,
and come and learn this, right? And so again, you in general, you have to be the one to say, you know what? I'll get up in the morning. I want to learn. I'll be there in the evening. I'll be in it, wherever the case may be. You have to make sure that you are participating in your own financial rescue.
No, I appreciate that, Dunny. And Marquita Dunny is the third owner of Global FX Trade Club. But we always say that, again, we may have had the idea, but it's the value of these people on this call that really make this thing work. And we always talk about being valuable to the group. So we wanted to open our networks up to our community so that it was more than money. We're not just talking about money. We have to build each other, because look, the people are suffering with depression. People are suffering with so many things. And you mentioned it earlier, everybody doesn't have mom or dad to turn and go to. So it's important to build a support system and a community around you. So for those of you who are plugged in, I certainly am grateful. But bring a friend to these motivational Mondays. Let them see that we do more than just attack the markets. We're attacking life. AJ, I think I saw you with your hand up, bro. If you had something, you can go ahead and come off mute.
Yeah, real quick, because I just wanted to add on the point. Ms. Leonard said she spent $75,000 this month, but I don't want everybody to gloss over the fact she is investing with the best of the best. She's studying and meeting with Grant Cardone. She's meeting with, I believe, Trent Shelton. She's not just clicking randomly, buying anybody's courses. She's going, meeting with the top of the top. Your favorite salesperson's favorite salesperson is Grant Cardone, and that's who she's meeting with and getting her information from. So I wanted to point that out, is because she is investing top dollar for this. She's not just saying, "Hey, what's the value? What's the cheapest route that I can get the best information?" No, she's going to the best source that has the most value from it. And so I just wanted to point that out, that she is, she's investing in herself and getting quality. And, I would be remiss to, kind of throw in GFXTC is quality, people. That's it. I'm done.
I appreciate you, man.
I want to add, you guys, listen, $1,500 is nothing. It may be a lot to some, but you got to look at the value that you're going to get. And that's one thing I had to learn. So my first big investment was with Grant Cardone. It was $38,000. I was only averaging maybe around $270 a year. And so when I got with Grant Cardone, his people called and they sold me on this business program. Oh, I'm going to train your staff to be top-notch salespeople. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, cool. I'm like, $38,000 is a lot of money. This is a lot of money. I don't know about it. So I started calling everybody in my phone. I was like, should I do this? And then I started thinking. I went to his 10X conference. I went to his boot camp, and I just seen how many people was at his conferences. When I went to his 10X conference, it was 35,000 people.
I think that was it. He sold out like the stadium where
in Miami.
In Miami, yeah. I think he sold it out during the Super Bowl though.
He did. $35,000. I mean 35,000 people. And I said to myself, all these people here, the tickets are not cheap. 5,000 to 10,000 to even get in the building. So I said, why would all these people be here if what he was teaching did not work? And he told me when I signed the contract, he said, listen, if you don't triple your money in the next 90 days, I'm going to let you out your contract. And I quadrupled it. And I made my first $1 million just like he said. But I had to be consistent. I had to put in the work. So people who's afraid to invest money, it's only because they are afraid to put in the work and actually do the work. Because you can give me one piece of knowledge, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to turn it into $1 million idea. And that's what people got to understand. A lot of people go and get training and do these courses, but they're not applying what they're being taught. I got a girl in my coaching program. She took a eyelash course. She's like, oh, I really didn't learn nothing. I said, baby, you're not gonna master how to do lashes with one course. You got to be consistently and take 2 or 3 to master it. And so that's what you guys got to do as well. You got to invest in multiple courses, multiple things. Grant Cardone, he got me on my way, but my mentor now is Dan Locke and Joel Bauer. And a lot of people don't even know who Joel Bauer is, but he trained Grant Cardone and Tony Robbins and Gary Vee. But he's behind the scenes. So upon my research, I discovered him. And I did a mastermind with him. Also, Tony Gaskins, that's one of my best friends. Like, he keeps me together with my life. So invest that $1,500 don't even do it for you. It's not about you no more. It's about your children. What are you leaving your children behind? I think adults are so selfish because they only think of themselves. They don't think about their children. We got to create generational wealth for our children. So you guys got to make these people understand how important it is
No,
to create wealth.
I really appreciate that. We're huge on that, and we're continually looking for ways to really deliver that type of value to the community and make sure that they understand the direction that we're going. We'll all get there over time, but it definitely takes consistency. Last point I'll make before I give back to Cousin Ned for closing remarks, and we can all come off mute and show a little debt of gratitude to Ms. Leonard. What she's talking about is something that you've heard us speak on before, and we're going to go deeper on this through our Motivational Monday call series. In our community, one of our biggest issues is that when there is an unfortunate life event, we're flowing money up. Money is not supposed to flow up. Money's supposed to flow down. So we have to get our priorities together so that we're flowing money down so our kids don't have to in turn take on these types of responsibilities. And so we're going to be talking a little bit more about playing offense and defense, right? So we're going to help the community understand how to better defend themselves against these things that can potentially happen in life. And I think we're going to, again, be able to put our families in a much better situation by doing so. Marquita, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. You're a woman of your word. And just so you all know, I use her business services personally myself. So not only am I saying this, but I'm a supporter and I pay on time every single month. All right. And another thing about Marquita sets goals for her clients. She wants to kick you out of her program. So when she tells you, I'm looking for new clients, she's looking for people to help. She's not just saying, hang around and I'm going to cash a check. She's saying, if you're partnering with me, you should be in a better space X amount of time from now if you're doing what it is I tell you to do. Same thing with us. If you're showing up, if you're learning how to mark your charts, you're taking the trades, you're showing up for the sessions, you should be a little bit more, you should have more predictable results over and over and over again. So going back to that, consistency is key. You see, she has hustle, grind, execution in the background. You know what we do here, family. We trade, we serve, and we support. So again, thank you all for tuning in. With that, thank you, Ms. Leonard.